First off, people had been anticipating Russia's war aims before the invasion began during the preceding mobilization. As such, some of the information presented in this video is a rehash of what was in my February 1st video called "Where is the Standoff in Ukraine Leading Europe?" You can check that out as well as other contemporary videos for guidance on the present situation. So here is a map of Ukraine and Russia before the current invasion. Here is Crimea, which Russia seized from Ukraine, and here is Ukraine's breakaway area within the Donbass, consisting of the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, which were backed by Russia. On 21st February, Russia formally recognized those two statelets, and the following day, 22nd February, the special date with nothing but twos, Russia authorized the use of military force and sent troops into this area. This makes sense because the war in Donbass had been going on for 8 years now, and Russia must have decided that now it was the time to finally end the violence in its favor, because it couldn't go on forever. But it became clear to everybody that the situation between Ukraine and Russia was about to take a turn for the whole lot more dramatic. Then, on 24th February, it became unbelievable. Russia mounted a full-scale attack on Ukraine, and within a few days, the map changed to this. Russia invaded from the south, the east, and the north, gaining a lot of territory at the beginning. The main thrust of its advance was pointed towards Ukraine's capital, Kiev, over here, where a large army is moving towards from Belarus. Russia put most of its effort into this advance. It seems that what Russia was trying to do was take the city of Kiev and so bring down and replace the Ukraine government, or make it submit to their will, or weaken it considerably. I don't think Russia was intending to occupy all of Ukraine, because it's so big, and it may not have intended either to take a lot of territory away from Ukraine. Belarus up here is also a country that Putin would want within his sphere of influence, but he has no designs on his territory because Belarus is closely aligned with Russia. So Putin must have wanted to force Ukraine to do the same, to also get within its orbit. So I think that at the outset of the war, Russia's objective was first to liberate the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, after which they would probably join Russia, because Russia is a federation with many republics in it, and secondly, to bring Ukraine into alignment with Russia. But this did not go according to plan. Russia's Kiev offensive faltered due to strong Ukrainian resistance bolstered by weapons from abroad, and Russia's poor logistical and tactical performance. As such, on 25th March, Russia announced it was changing its strategy. It would retreat from northern Ukraine entirely and refocus all its military power on Ukraine's southeast, with a focus on liberating Donbass. Russia also said that its goal all along when advancing on Kiev was to destroy Ukraine's military strength, and that mission was successful. This may have been a face-saving measure because wars nowadays are very PR reliant. Whatever the case, it took close to a month for this repositioning to take place, as Russia's main armies made the long journey from here all the way to here, while Ukrainians engaged them in a logistical race going from here to here. And now the war looks like this. As you can see, Russia now just has this continuous strip of land along all of which fighting is taking place. A few days ago, Russia launched a grand offensive in the entire Donbass region, attacking along a 300-mile front. Meanwhile, it's been also put a lot of effort into bringing the strategic port city of Mariupol under control, the one over here, presumably so the way can be cleared towards Crimea. Russia's objectives in this war now must be to gain control of this entire area and establish a land corridor with Crimea. Why? Because this part of Ukraine has a lot of ethnic Russians, which Russia would want to join its own nation. And Donbass has a lot of wealth, has a lot of value in the form of industrial and energy wealth. Crimea is also very valuable, but for 8 years after Russia took it, that value could not be realized in full because Russia lacked a direct land access to Crimea, and Crimea lost almost all of its water supply because Ukraine blocked the North Crimean Canal, which supplied water from the Dnieper River to Crimea. By getting control of this area and establishing a land corridor between Crimea and Russia, this problem would be solved once and for all. It also seems that Russia has designs further west. It is making moves in places like the strategic deep sea port of Odessa. And on 22nd April, a senior Russian commander, Rustam Minakheyev, announced at a conference that Russia's goal was to take over Ukraine's entire southern coastal region, entire Black Sea coastal region, and link up with the Moldova and with the nation of Moldova over here and its own pro-Russian separatist region, Transnistria. This area in red, this is Transnistria. If true, this is a very radical objective, because if it's achieved, Ukraine would become landlocked and Russia would start threatening a second nation, Moldova. I think that Russia's grand objective at present consists of 3 tiers. The first tier is taking control of the entire Donbass region. This is most essential. If Russia doesn't accomplish that, this whole war would have been for nothing. The second objective is to establish a land corridor with Crimea. Preferably Russia's new border could look like this, so there'd be a direct connection between Crimea and as much as of Russia as possible. And the third objective, if we can ever come to that, is to take over the entire Black Sea region all the way to Transnistria. It remains to be seen how much of all this Russia can accomplish. Also, if Russia does become victorious in any of these areas, what happens after that? Do they get permanently annexed into Russia, or does Russia hold them as a bargaining chip, potentially returning them to Ukraine after a settlement is made? I don't know. It's quite possible that Russia itself does not know, is not certain what's coming next. That's because its initial objective, the objective for which it started the war, did not work out, and Russia was so confident of victory at the early stages of the war that it most likely does not have a clear plan B. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes out of this. We must also keep in mind that Russia's objectives may change further as the war continues. So I hope that you've been provided with a good introduction to the conflict raging right now.